Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Amen. The lesson for us to consider this morning and meditate upon is from St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 16. We'll begin this morning with this prayer. The words of my mouth, the meditation of our hearts, be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Why does the cancer patient go through the chemotherapy treatments when it makes them so sick? Why is it that the Olympic athlete goes through years of training, repetition, sometimes monotonous repetition, over and over again, making their body being torn down, having their body being torn down, and tired? Daily, almost. Why is it that a soldier risks life and limb out on the battlefield? Really, when you look at all three of those situations, it comes down to the same thing. It's worth it in the end. The end result is worth it after everything they went through. It's worth it to be able to maintain and hold on to the hope that perhaps there will be some sort of cure of relief. It's worth it to have the gold medal hanging around the neck. It's worth it to the soldier to know that the homeland has been defended and kept free. If such things that gain temporary victories are worth going through, how much more is it to go through something that has eternal victories and eternal results in mind? And today Jesus is going to draw us into a dialogue, a conversation that he's having with his disciples, another teaching moment, in which he's going to be teaching us about the difficulties and the hardships and the hurts that we as Christians go through simply because we are God's Christian people. And yet he's going to lead us along that path to see through these difficulties, to see the end result. The end result of it, of my connection to Jesus Christ, makes it worth it so much more. And helps me to view these difficulties and these hardships and these things that get down in my Christian life and make it so much trouble for me. Show me it is worth it in the end. Because we're going to discover this morning that the path to victory, the path to eternal life, is through the cross. We're going to watch Jesus as he takes us on the path that he's going to take, and also the path that he lays out for us to follow. Listen to how our lesson begins again. From that time on, Jesus began to show his disciples that he had to go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders of the people, chief priests, and experts in the law, and be killed, and on the third day be raised again. Matthew 16, where our gospel lesson takes place today, is probably about 9 months before Good Friday. If you recall last week, Jesus had posed a question to his disciples, and he asked them, who do people say that I am? What do the crowd say? And they had rattled off a number of different views people had of Jesus. Prophet, someone raised from the dead. And then Peter stood forth and gave that beautiful confession, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. The disciples had come to that point now. It's time to expand and open up more of what was going to happen to Jesus. And he's going to explain it further to them. And that's what he does in our lesson today in that first verse. He says, yes, I'm going to be going to Jerusalem. I'm going to be handed over. There is going to be suffering at the hands of these leaders of the Jewish people, and I will be killed and raised again. This is the first time that he really gets into detail of what's coming in his life and sharing that with his disciples. But did you notice what the disciples grab onto? Specifically, Peter grabs onto in this lesson. wasn't going to the end and saying, oh, there's victory at the end of all this. Instead, we see they focus on the suffering and the killing and the dying. And Peter grabs Jesus and says, Lord, have mercy on us. Lord, may mercy be upon you that this does not happen to you. Because this was far different from what many of those disciples had in mind, wasn't it? Those disciples had the idea of an earthly victory at times. The idea of Jesus on a throne on earth. The idea of people all coming to him and seeing him as their leader and as their king here on earth. Lord, may this happen. No, Jesus, not at all. And then in front of all of the other disciples, what does Jesus do towards Peter? Stinging rebuke. Get behind me, Satan. You don't have mind the things of God. You have mind the things of people. You see, what Jesus saw in Peter's response of saying, never shall not happen to you, hit Jesus' ears of being the same tune, same melody, same cadence and same phrases that he heard out in the wilderness. Remember when the devil came and tempted him for those 40 days? What was the devil's goal? Get to stop this plan. Stop this plan right now. Jesus, you don't have to go through with this. That difficulty that's coming up, those horrible things that are going to happen to you, it can stop right here. You don't have to go through it. Get behind me, Satan. You're saying the exact same things the devil said to me out in the wilderness. You see, what those disciples and Peter weren't realizing was, if this didn't happen, if Jesus did proceed to Jerusalem, if he did suffer, if he was not handed over, if he was not killed and crucified on the cross, the whole payment for sin never happened. Because you see, our sins are not something that are so light and trivial that God simply can sweep them away. They're not something that simply can be brushed aside because they're not that bad. What the disciples didn't realize was that sin is an affront to the deity and lordship of their God. It's a fist-up fight against him. And they need to be taken care of. Because after all, if Jesus didn't go through with this, what was Peter asking to have happen? Jesus, you don't go through with this. He was saying, I'm going to pay for my own damnation. I'm going to make the payment for my eternal future. Jesus, you won't. No, don't. That was a check he was writing that he wasn't able to cash. That was a check he could not fulfill the payment. That cross needed to happen. You also catch what Jesus says. There's victory at the end. Through that hardship of the killing and handing over and the suffering and the dying of the cross, there's victory. And he will be raised again. And I will be raised to life again. That meant there was glory coming following that cross. That meant there was resurrection and victory. That meant there was an eternal glory that wasn't going to stop and wasn't going to be simply temporary. Victory. That was the path Jesus was taking to save us. The path for our victory is right through Jesus' cross. It had to be there. That's how he was going to rescue us. That's how He's going to give us the victory. But knowing His disciples and knowing us as Christian people, walking along the path, following Jesus through that cross, He also saw that as we walk through our Christian life, they needed a reminder, and we needed a reminder. Because the temptation would be to easily see, well, that's it. That's all. It's so easy, isn't it? And so easily take it for granted. And so easily see and simply enjoy what's here. Jesus helps to sober the disciples up in us when He says this. Then Jesus said to His disciples, if anyone wants to follow me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow. Now you have to note here that Jesus is not telling us, here's how we become a believer. Deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow. No, that's done through the Spirit, isn't it? Through the waters of baptism, God makes us His own and brings us to faith. Through the Word that penetrates on the rock, hard heart, breaks it open, and brings life of faith in there. The Spirit works. Through these means, these tools of God's grace to bring us that forgiveness and create faith in hearts, that's how He works. This now, He says, this is for Christians. You who have been brought to faith, recognize this. You who are sitting here as Christian people who have been washed in the waters of baptism and brought to faith. Your walk in your Christian life involves three things. Deny yourself. Literally it says, say no to yourself. My sinful self wants so desperately to say yes to every whim of its own. It doesn't want to hear a no answer of rejection from a society around us. It wants to be so much nice with the world we live in because it would be so much easier to get along with this world than we are living here temporarily. Deny ourselves. Say no. Because right along with that, on the other side of that coin, is taking up our cross. And taking up a cross means everything and anything that makes it difficult for me to live my Christian life and stay connected to Jesus Christ. And that creed very much is my own sinful self. Very much does not want to deny itself of anything. As a Christian, I'm called to take up my cross. Those things that are going to make it difficult to live in Jesus' love and stay connected to Jesus. And it can take on so many forms, can it? Sometimes we think of denying or taking up our cross, the cross that people bear. Oh, it's an illness. They're really bearing the cross right now. All the difficult suffering that they're going through, that's the cross. Maybe it's even a death. That's the cross that they have to bear. Every person experiences those things. What makes it different is if it's something that is going to challenge me in my Christian faith and challenge me with God's love and try to get in the way of my relationship with my God, of who He is as my Savior and His love. And it can take many forms, can it? It can be persecution. It could be strained relationships. It could be a divorce. It could be sickness. It could be caring for someone who is sick. It could be helping, giving to the needs of others. It could be financial problems. Loss of a home. It could be also things that we see before us, such as people who are, we thought were friends, who are only friends that we don't act like Christian people. Find the cross can take the form of seeing a worry that God doesn't love you or God won't be there for me. Again, people can experience all those. When it gets in the way of my Christian life, in the way of God's love, there's the cross, there's the change. My sinful self says, wouldn't it be easier if those weren't there? Couldn't I shine like the stars and just go gung-ho in my Christian life if these crosses weren't there? Couldn't I make such an impact if that wasn't there? And God would remove those from us. We love the picture of Jesus carrying the sheep on his shoulders, don't we? Oh, the compassionate Jesus who washes us and cleanses us clean and takes us home, and he does it all. Oh, it rests in my heart with something peaceful. Love the ice cream and the sundaes and the sprinkle on top of a Christianity like that. Nothing but joy and celebration. That's what I can handle, can't I? That's what my sinful self wants. God never says Christianity is to be comfortable Christianity. He never says discipleship is a dreamland. In fact, it's arrogant to think that my Christian life and faith is going to be one non-stop adventure, theme park celebration of being a Christian. He never promises it. He does say difference will be. Simply because we're Christians, to keep us focused where we need to be focused. Help us to see where we need to have our attention. And he reminds us of that when he says these words in the last part. In fact, whoever wants to save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. If we listen to our sinful nature, the price that we're paying is a cost for eternity. We're losing what is so valuable. And it's priceless. In fact, as Jesus continues, here's the next question. What will it benefit a person who gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what can a person give in exchange for his soul? Yes, our sinful nature shrinks back at the cost of discipleship, but Jesus says, look at what you're losing if you cave into. Look at what you've given up if you push his cross aside. The relationship. Listen to the beautiful promise of Jesus. He makes the wind to follow us again, for he helps to follow him. Whoever wants to save his life, keep it here, will lose it. Whoever loses his life for me will find it. You see the problem? Losing our life. Taking up our cross, denying ourselves, following him. This is his victory. Finally, bringing us through the crosses of life, there's the goal. That's what's achieved. That's what we hope. That's what's certain. Victory, glory that only he can bring. By staying connected to Jesus through these crosses, I see the victory that comes. The victory of guaranteeing for all stain of sin and every sorrow is put aside. Total victory. Is it difficult to deny ourselves? You betcha. Is it going to be tough to take up our cross? You bet it will. Do we find ourselves at war within ourselves to follow him and only him as he leads the way through his word to our eternal home? Absolutely. But our Savior says, you look at me and you follow me and you watch me, and I've gone through that cross and I've taken it on and I've given you victory. And I will bring you through these crosses that you endure simply because you're a Christian, because this is what keeps you close to me. You're a Christian. It's not the end. It is the end. It's your victory. Jesus' path to glory for us is through the cross. It's our path as we follow him. It will be victory that only he can give. Amen.